I've made a pretty big mistake over the past couple years here, and I want to make sure that you guys don't repeat it as well. Keeping everything simple, let's talk about that. Welcome back to the Keeping Everything Simple podcast. I'm your host and fellow student, Michael Klukas, and on this show, we boil down complicated topics into simple and actionable tips. Now, what exactly am I referring to when I say I've made a big mistake in these past couple years? And it's actually been about my routine. Now, what I mean by this is I've had a very distinct routine over the past, 2-3 years here, in which I will wake up at 5 a.m., I will head to the gym, I will work out, I'll do my cardio, I'll come back, I'll journal, I will read, I will practice Spanish, and I will work on YouTube. And that's been a pretty standard routine for myself. But the problem is it's been, I would say, inflexible. I haven't been so good about allowing small changes to occur as well as just outright, adjustments to happen. The reason why this comes to fruition is as I am preparing to share my life with someone for the rest of my life, my routine is going to have to change. And I've been so inflexible and so hard-headed about sticking to it that the routine itself actually became the constraint. So even though there's this idea that if you conquer the morning, you get to conquer the rest of your day and you get to conquer the rest of your life, I took it in a direction that wasn't exactly the most helpful because for myself, I made good progress and I was able to kind of put my nose to the grindstone because it's tough getting up at 5 a.m. every single day when you don't actually have to. And so the struggle there becomes that if I was too concerned about not being able to get enough sleep or too concerned about what I was going to have to do the next morning, then that would dictate what my thought process was the night before. That would dictate what I was going to have to either cut out or cut down time on, even if that was good quality time with my fiance, with my friends, with my family, and head off to bed. Which, again, I want to emphasize isn't bad, but when it becomes so inflexible, that's when an issue occurs. Consider it like a morning cup of coffee, where for some people, they will have a distinct statement of do not talk to me until I have my morning coffee because I will not be pleasant, I will not be fully functional, and that in itself is fine if people have a distinct routine and kind of ritual to start off their day. However, it becomes an issue, especially when you have people that get addicted to the coffee and addicted to the caffeine, in which they cannot properly function without it. They go off caffeine or coffee for a day or two, and suddenly they're hit with withdrawal. They're getting migraines, they're getting, shivers and whatever it is. And that's when you know that, hey, this routine has actually become part of an issue. And I think that's the best way to compare it to what my routine has been. And that's why I'm calling it one of my biggest mistakes. Because I was doing something that was good, but I took it too far. By being so inflexible, by being so unwilling to feel okay with the changes around it, I'd feel bad if I didn't do it. And that's not a good spot to be in. Because then even the work that I was able to do on a day in which I woke up at, say, 6 or 5:30, that's still a good accomplishment. And it's lessened a little bit over the past year, but it's still been a hindrance to my ability to actively, encourage and reassure my fiance that, hey, I know my routine's going to have to change. Because if for the past 3 years I've been so rigid in it and so unwilling to compromise on it and haven't shown her anything else but that, then that's not exactly the most reassuring thing to hear, especially when my words do not match up to the actions that I have or that I have shown. So that's why I want to encourage you guys to really take a hard look at, is there some ritual, some routine that you're focusing on that by itself is actually healthy and good? However, the inflexibility to change, the unwillingness to adapt and adjust as much as possible, and the inability to recognize that it won't always be perfect and that you have to be able to adjust. If those three things are coming into play and are taking what is a good thing, what is a helpful thing, and turn it into a constraint, a limiter on your actual life and the quality of things that you get to enjoy. For myself, I love my routine. I love having good, productive mornings because it's, again, following in the idea of you conquer your morning, you conquer the rest of your life. Because it's setting the tone for the day. It's setting my intention for how I want everything else to go. However, it's not the only way to have that happen. It's not the only way that I'm going to be able to set a good intention or a way in which I'm going to be able to make the most out of the time I have to myself. Because it's going to change. Not always going to be perfect. Because when it becomes the constraining factor and the limiting factor to everything else too, then I'm doing something wrong. And I don't want you guys to repeat that mistake as well. So again, I encourage you, do a little check-in. Is there something that you're holding on to as a routine, as a ritual that you can loosen the grip on? You can kind of take your hands off the steering wheel a little bit and let yourself know that it's okay to not be perfect and it's okay to not have 100% dialed in morning routine. Because there's going to be off days, there's going to be days in which you're going to be up late, there's going to be days in which you want to spend a little extra time with family, friends, loved ones at night, the night before, or you want to sleep in because maybe you built up sleep debt and you have, low levels of sleep deprivation, which I actually know I have, but we've just adjusted to it. That's the thought I leave you with today. Is your routine, the thing that's supposed to be good, actually now the limiting factor? And if so, what are you going to do about it? Keeping everything simple. Have an amazing day, you amazing people. I will see you all in the next episode. Go out there and do great things.